Hello, Minnesota Timberwolves fans. Welcome into Talkin T-Wolves. I'm your host, Garrett Gilbertson. Super excited to talk about the Timberwolves having a winning season. Yes, that's right. We are headed to the play-in tournament, not the playoffs, but it is all exciting. And here to talk more with it is my friend Kevin Sankey. Kevin, also a Timberwolves fan. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm more than excited to see the Timberwolves in the play-in tournament. They are the seventh seed currently, and in a typical year, they would be considered a playoff team. And we are, I mean, I am very excited to see this team perform tomorrow, Tuesday night, 8:30 at the Target Center versus the Los Angeles Clippers of Los Angeles. And I know that Paul George is coming back for this game. He's come back for the last few games and has been traditional stalwart for the Los Angeles Clippers of Los Angeles. But I think that the Timberwolves got what it takes to pull this game off, and I'm really excited to see the matchup because the Wolves are favored by 3. They've been favored as low as 1.5, but they've never not been favored. And I'm excited to see them perform against the squad. And as a Timberwolves fan, you got to temper your expectations a good amount. But I'm feeling good. I won't be disappointed if they lose, but I'm ready for them to win. So, and I'm ready to celebrate, and I'm ready to just release that button. That
That's right.
happens when something good happens.
I am excited for them to win because let's face it, this has been an exciting season for the Wolves, and to even get back to the playoffs is a huge accomplishment, right? Even if they made it to the seventh seed, which is very close to some of our predictions, mine at the beginning of the year. And I think that's huge for them to have taken this step. Uh, the T Wolves, I think, are the much better team than the Clippers are, even whether or not Kawhi Leonard was playing, there's still a matchup nightmare. I think for the Clippers, right? They have to figure out how to stop Karl Anthony Towns, and that's going to be their number one priority. But what the Wolves have proven uh, is that they have a darn good supporting cast all year, especially in the second half of the year. I think our bench was rated probably one of the greatest benches in the NBA. Wouldn't you agree?
For sure. We saw. Malik Beasley had his historic game this wonderful 21-22 season where he broke the Timberwolves record for most 3-pointers in a game. Also,
Yep.
the most points scored exclusively off 3-pointers, 11 for 11 from the 3-point line. Absolutely no 2-pointers shot. And what's funny too is if you look at his stats, is that he is the worst 2-point shooter in the league, but probably one of the best 3-pointers, as evidenced as that miracle performance against, what was it, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Some team that wasn't trying probably too hard to guard him, but still, if you get 11 open 3-pointers in a row, you would take it if you're just in a gym alone by yourself. And meanwhile, he's getting paid millions of dollars to do it. So congratulations, Malik Beasley. I like to highlight you as my bench player of the year. Boom.
Oh, nice. Malik Beasley, bench player of the year in Kevin Stanky's book. I like that. I'll say this. I think he has played so much better the second half of the season than he started out the season with. But for that reason, because this first half, or at least the opening month of the year, he was so bad. I don't know that I can give him most outstanding bench player of the year. I don't know if I could. It's really hard to pick somebody else other than him. But in the second half, leading up to the this play-in game, I have to say Torian Prince has been probably one of their better defenders off the bench, as well as Jordan McLaughlin. Jordan has been just a stud off the bench and really has filled in nicely. maybe not so much offensively, but defensively, his energy and the way he just pesters other teams' players has been really fun to watch. I would like to have seen him, have a better shooting percentage than he's had, especially from beyond the 3-point line. But he's been really good. And then it's hard to it's hard not to like Nas Reed off the bench too, man. And I would probably give my most important bench player coming into the play-in game. I think it's going to be Nas Reed, honestly. Uh, and mainly for the reason of if Cat gets in foul trouble, they're really going to need Nas Reed to step in and put in minutes. And the way he's been shooting the three and defensively the last week and a half, 2 weeks, uh, I would roll with him. I really, really, I've liked him all year, but Nas Reed has provided a solid backup center on this team that I find it hard to replace, right?
Well, absolutely. He's a great player to have on your team. He's not the player that you want to have in the situation when Karl Anthony Towns gets in foul trouble. That's the unfortunate part about it, because even though he replicates a lot of what Karl Anthony Towns does, he is much smaller, much more foul prone, even the Karl Anthony Towns, who's now already in foul trouble. And now and thank goodness that we got that Greg Monroe signing. It's I feel like this opens up some opportunities. It would be really great to see this happen a little bit more before this postseason. Maybe there's something, because he's been on the team already this season, and maybe they've already got some cards in their pocket to throw on the table. What do you think, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, Greg Monroe played, I think, 3 or 4 games with the Wolves, and he had that really, really good game. Who was it against? Was it the Bucks? No. Regardless, he had a really great game. The first game that we brought him in after we signed him as a free agent, and yeah, he brings that veteran player that can come in and score. The last game that we played against the Bulls, he got some good minutes, and it looked like he can still try and be that offensive player. He had a lot of layups and easy baskets not go in for him, but that might have just been the roll of the dice for him on that particular night.
And I think what's most important though is that now that Greg Monroe is on this team, that we have a backup center. Nas Reed's not really a backup center; he's a backup power forward. He's 6'9", and that's even disputable. And he's a little overweight at the 6'9" height, but he's still magnificent, shooting outside threes and playing some solid defense. Not as solid defense as you want to see out of your center position, but that's why you got Greg Monroe. And I'm just hoping that we can find a way. And going back to Taurean Prince, just going back to the whole bench unit, Taurean Prince, he's kind of like he's been a very solid player. And you talk about Malik Beasley, talk about Jordan McLaughlin. These are guys that are streaky players. So you got to ride them when they're hot. And when you got a full squad, when you got that ability to mix and match, you got the ability to like pepper and salt and pepper. I know I like to do a little seasoning to Talkin Twolves, and this is a perfect opportunity, because we haven't even talked about how we got our boy Jaden McDaniels back, who's been out, and you've got the magnificent Jared Vanderbilt. I think is like the most underrated player of the season, like most improved player. You've got like all stars who are in the conversation with most improved player. That's good. But if we were talking about like who really has improved the most this year, I think that even all defensive team, we could talk about Jared Vanderbilt getting in the second team. I think that there is some legitimate controversy about leaving him off, because really he is somebody. and it's not even a defensive skill, because what he does on the offensive side of the court is you can shoot a shot and he's going to get the rebound if you miss it. Like, not quite 50% of the time, but close to that. And when he gets the rebound, he's not going to try and put it back to himself and get 2 points. He's going to kick it back out, get it to somebody on the line. And if they miss, they're just going to do it again. And I feel like this is the most potent weapon in the NBA right now. And I think that Jared Vanderbilt, if we see this in the playoffs, I'm ready. I'm juiced. I'm feeling it. I'm getting so juicy right now.
I agree with you. I can feel your juice coming at me. I need a towel over here. This is getting ridiculous. But I totally get where you're coming from. Vanderbilt, I really don't think that there's another player in the NBA that brings the type of energy, athleticism that Vanderbilt brings on a nightly basis that he gives to the Timberwolves. Like, his ability to fly in and get a rebound that is clearly out of his reach, or should be out of his reach, and he can bring it down, and he's not looking to really put it back up, or he's always looking to make that pass and get the open shot, and that's paid off with having players around him like Beasley or Cat, or anybody that can knock down the 3-point shot. Like, he gets these crazy offensive rebounds, and he can kick it back out where they're not expecting him to have gotten that rebound. So creates his energy and athleticism creates these easy open shots for the other team, for our team, that just is unmatched in the NBA. Now, would I say he should be an all-star? I think his offensive game definitely holds him back from being an all-star, but he should be on the defensive team, at least the second all-defensive team in the NBA this year, because, he played well enough. I mean, he was our shot blocker, rebounder on the team all year long, right? And what he brings to the team is really unmatched with players on our team and throughout the NBA. I really can't find another comparison player that is like Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think a player you can compare him to maybe is like Dennis Rodman. Back in the Pistons days, back in the Spurs days,
But a current player, I just don't see it. I have a hard time thinking about it. Maybe Ja Morant.
The best comparison is a player on the squad, Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
He actually is maybe just a little better offensive version of Jared Vanderbilt, and just a little younger and a little raw. And those two guys mixed with Cat, Ant, and D'Angelo Russell, just offensive juggernauts with Malik Beasley off the bench, I think, the next year. I've talked to you about this offline. We've talked about how the Grizzlies last year are in the exact same position where the Minnesota Timberwolves are right now. They were in the play-in tournament. They were going against the better team, the guy who's been injured all year, Steph Curry, Golden State Warriors. We're playing against the Memphis Grizzlies, and we're all said, Grizzlies aren't going to win this game. They're going against Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and they killed them.
Yeah.
And they went to the playoffs. And this is the exact same position where the Timberwolves are right now, where Anthony Edwards is the second year of a year that he did not win Rookie of the Year like Ja Morant, where he should have won probably Rookie of the Year that year as well. Anthony Edwards should have won Rookie of the Year last year, and now he's a better player than that Rookie of the Year, just like Ja Morant was. Now we are seeing the Minnesota Timberwolves making that next step, and next year it's going to be even sweeter, so watch out.
You're right, man. The T-Wolves are sitting in a good spot. I couldn't have been – I could be happier if we were the 6th seed, but I couldn't – I am happy with the effort and the way that they played all season long. And just to see them get to this point where I feel like they've definitely earned the league's respect this year based on their play, not based on where they are in the standings, but they showed that they could play hard against every team in the NBA, right? And they showed like statistically they were the number one scoring team in the NBA this year, points per game. I heard number one. And defensively, they're definitely in the top 10. I think top 5 even. I don't have it on the top of my head. But defensively, their turnovers that they created were outstanding numbers. I mean, they turned turnovers into points all year long with their hustle, and it showed.
Yeah. One stat that I saw, Patrick Beverley led the league in blocked 3-pointers.
Really?
He's blocking shots outside of the 3-point line. He is the lead leaguer in that stat.
League leaguer.
And that's
well, that is good. I mean, good on Patrick Beverley. Speaking of that, did you see any of last night's game against the Bulls?
Oh, what? Pat Bev got kicked out right away. I didn't watch that game. I knew that it wasn't a game worth watching. Cat was out. D'Angelo Russell
It wasn't.
Out. And you know what was good? I mean, I saw something that it was like a game that they should lose because they are pretty much tied with the Bulls in the overall standings, right? So they lose. If they go on the same round as the Bulls do, they get one more draft pick higher than they do. So best move that could possibly ever happen. But I was surprised to see because I was watching the score. I was watching the score and I was like, should I turn this game on? And at one point I was like, I might have to turn this game on because this game is getting close. Because at one point it was like they were down like 20 or 30 at halftime. And by the end they lost by 4, right?
Yep. At halftime they were down by 21, I think, or maybe it was 19, something around there. And they came back and lost by 4. I shut it off in the third quarter because I was like, I've seen enough. This is too much for them to claw back from.
Hey, we all need a little rest before the playoffs.
Yeah, I was tired. I had a long day yesterday. But when Pat Bev got his first tee, I mean, he was really jawing at the ref, right? And then the second one, what did he do? He was and was it a block shot that he had? I think it was a block shot or something. It wasn't on offense. Either way, I have a fuzzy memory. Either way, he turned right at the official and just gave him the business. Like, I'm a strong man. He should have called whatever he was upset with them on the first technical. He was letting them know on the second one, and that's why he got ejected out of the game. But after he got ejected, I mean, he was still. You can see him on camera yelling that the ref is trash. I mean, he was like, "You're trash." As a referee, I imagine his referee calling. And he can think what he wants, but what I was concerned with is that he was going to get suspended for the play-in game. And I'm like, no, control yourself a little bit so you don't get suspended. And on his way out, he gave the ref a butt slap, which if the commissioner was seeing, that would be touching a referee, in an...
He'd be jealous.
He might have been jealous. He might have been. I mean, who doesn't want a butt tat from... I won't... That
he wants to be spanked. Come on.
Yeah. But either way, I'm really glad that I didn't read today that Patrick Beverley was suspended for the play-in game because we're going to need him, especially against the Clippers. Like, what was he thinking? What if he'd gotten suspended for this game against his former team? Could have been bad. I'm glad it's not.
Yeah,
so
well,
thanks,
I don't know. I think there's just something about it that, like, I think I don't get and that maybe you don't get. Like, I don't get it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people get it, and I don't get it. I don't get the whole Pat Bev, like, getting wild, getting everybody wild up. It seems to work defensively. I feel like Vanderbilt, Daniels, they got it. I think they got the juice that they need from Bev, and let's just hope he doesn't mess it up because we were talking about just before we were doing some sound tests our favorite games of the season, and the game I went to, Pat Beverley got kicked out of against the Milwaukee Bucks just at the end of March. A game against the NBA champions, a game that I was hoping to see my personal MVP for this year and last year, and Finals MVP last year, Giannis Antetokounmpo. It was not in the game. He
No.
wasn't able to perform in that game. He was injured, and it made it a dominating win by the Minnesota Timberwolves against the NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks, and it made me very excited. And every moment of the game, I never questioned that they were gonna lose. Every moment, I felt like they were gonna win, and it was the greatest feeling I've ever had as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan in my life.
As a Minnesota sports fan, period, but a Timberwolves fan to beat, it's a great feeling when you feel like we can't lose this game.
And yeah, it was just outstanding. We saw amazing offense and defense from the team, and some antics. Like the one thing that you just didn't want to see was just like, why are you doing this, Patrick Beverley? Why are you doing this, Patrick Beverley? Come on, just like, I don't get it. It gets people riled up. People love it. I'm not one of those people, but I guess, if it gets the team going, like,
It's a
how
good
can I
thing.
argue
Yeah.
about it?
It's a good thing you're not on the Timberwolves because it's definitely getting his teammates riled up and they love it.
I mean,
Coach
as a
Chris Finch
neutral,
must not hate
like,
it because
we watched the finals. When did he push Chris Paul in the back? What team was he on? Was he on the Clippers last year when that happened?
yeah, that was in the
So
last
we
game
all
with
saw
the
that.
Clippers.
We all saw that. It was just gross. It was disgusting. It's like, what the? Why?
Yeah.
This is just like not justice. And you're doing this. You're just pushing him in the back. Like, Chris Paul, you're a dick, but come on, you're just pushing him down in the back.
At the end of the game,
when it doesn't
got him
even
suspended
matter.
for his first game as a Timberwolf. Well, I hope that he has a little bit of self-control in this next game because we're gonna need him, man. We're gonna need him in this the one game with the Clippers and then going forward. So let's quick recap just what the next game, this playing game with the Clippers. Obviously, you and I both are really hoping for a win, right? I'm gonna lay this question on you. Is it the end of the world if we lose the game in the Clippers and they get the 7th seed and we have to continue on this play-in tournament and play the winner of New Orleans, San Antonio?
I mean, we got 2 chances to beat them, right? That's correct, right? We got 2 chances to beat whoever wins that game.
It's just a one-game plan.
I
think it's just one game.
Well, I think that they would beat them, but the real threat is that, you're going to play the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Western Conference, Western Conference, what do you call them, champions for last year, and or the Memphis Grizzlies, the future Minnesota Timberwolves. So, I mean, that's what's really at stake here. I mean, it would be completely demoralizing if they lost 2 games in a row to not go to the playoffs.
It would be the most Minnesota Timberwolves thing to happen.
And that would be the biggest threat of the scenario that you're discussing. So if that were to happen, then yeah, we would see a lot of rats scurrying out from the building into some skeezy places. And
if we were to lose both games, Kevin, I'm gonna have to rename this video podcast "Tortured T-Wolves" instead of Talkin T-Wolves because that's all I'm in pain at this point. I cannot fathom the outcome of us not getting into the playoffs at this point because they should be the Wolves. If they are to lose to the Clippers, there is no reason why they should be losing to the San Antonio Spurs and the Pelicans. 2 teams that they should be able to beat. I would rather play San Antonio, honestly, than the Pelicans. But I don't want to see them be in the spot where they have to win to get the 10th seed or the 8th seed. Because if you have to play to get the 8th seed, now you have to go against Phoenix, who I would much rather be the 7th seed and play Memphis. I think that is the much better round 1 matchup for the Wolves than it is to have to go and play the Western Conference champions from last year and the best team in the Western Conference this year, in the Phoenix Suns. The way they've been playing, it's just the Wolves only hurt themselves if they end up being the 8th seed.
Yeah. Well, just imagine tomorrow you wake up and they say, "Hey, Kawhi Leonard's playing for the Los Angeles Clippers of Los Angeles," and then you wake up the next morning and they say, "Hey, Zion Williamson's playing for the New Orleans Pelicans of New Orleans," and that wouldn't that just be the perfect luck? And but yeah, if the Minnesota Timberwolves can win against the Clippers tomorrow, be the 7th seed, and face off against the Memphis Grizzlies, you have a hope of going to the Western Conference Finals. But the Phoenix Suns are hot. They're so hot right now.
They're too hot. They're too hot for us right now. I would like to see.
We've seen some really good games, the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Phoenix Suns this year, but we've seen them also fall short in those games. And I think one of them they were without Chris Paul and one of them without Devin Booker, and both of them they were close games and good games and great games, and
DeAndre Ayton in both of those games. Yeah, and Ayton was a stud in both of those games, if I remember right. And I just think that that's the one player that will give, besides the Jokic, that'll give Karl a hard time. So I'd rather stay away from him as much as we can, So yes, I would agree with you. I really, really want them to beat the Clippers and just have that 7th seed play Memphis and give Memphis a run for its money, because I think we match up really well, if not better, than Memphis. What I'm excited to see is a playoff Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell. Things we haven't seen in a long time, and I'm interested to see how those two players will play in the big light, in the spotlight of the playoffs. And I think that they will be the differences for this team to take us to the next level. Like, our bench has been awesome all year. D'Lo has had his games, but he's not been that consistent player, and I really think he wants to prove to everybody he's got ice in the veins. And then you get Anthony Edwards, who's going to be a superstar, or is a superstar. In the playoffs, we might see a new Anthony Edwards, which is exciting to think about.
Yeah, I mean, him going off on a hot note, 49 points against the San Antonio Spurs, one of the potential suitors that they'll see in the play-in tournament. And good to see him having that confidence going into the playoffs, with him having some off nights prior to that night. 49 points, nothing to shake a stick at, and showing the swagger in that game too. So I think we see Anthony Edwards come alive in these playoffs. He's in the position to do it. Like when we saw the Timberwolves last in the playoffs with young Anthony Edwards, Andrew Wiggins, and Jimmy Butler as the focal point of the team. Now you replace Jimmy Butler with a player like, I know, Anthony Edwards, but I just saw your name, right? Garrett Gilbert the other day. Anthony Edwards replacing the Jimmy Butler role, and he's got the, instead of the defensive spark plug, which you got to respect Jimmy Butler for, but not too much. But Anthony Edwards, he's got that offensive spark plug. If he gets that rolling, him and D'Angelo Russell, let's just get one of them going early. That's the goal that I think you want to see, is like which one of them is going to be the hot hand, and once you figure out which one it is, get them hot, get them doing the screen and roll, pick and roll with the cat early, and start figuring out who's going to be the hot hand. And Cat's always the safety valve on that. You can hit him from anywhere, and let's see that against this team, because if you can get the Los Angeles Clippers of Los Angeles pulling that double team on Cat to the outside of the 3-point rim. Now you got anybody cutting to the rim can just, whoever's leaving their man, getting their man left, they can cut to the rim and they got an easy bucket, easy 2 points there. If they force the tough D on them, then there's some, 3-point ball they can shoot it out to. So let's see them pull Cat out to the 3-point line in every pick and roll situation that they can. And I don't know, you can win the next 5 or 6 games doing that. So
Yep.
yeah.
I think you're right, man. The Wolves can play that pick and roll game with Cat and with D'Lo and Anthony Edwards all day long. Get the hot shooting hand on the night, can carry the team, and I don't see a way the Clippers could stop us, or really another team in the playoffs. We can keep up with a team like the Suns if need be, but it's got to be everybody's got to be on their best game. We can't have the clunker night from one of the three, right? I mean, we need all of them to be on, and I'm hoping that's what the playoffs bring to the team. I think the guys are going to be excited and and proud to be in this position of being in the playoffs once they win the play-in tournament. So yeah, I think that's great, man. I'm excited for the Wolves game tomorrow night, and the Clippers. I hope that they kick their butt and clean up the floor with them.
Yeah, tomorrow, Tuesday, 8:30. Let's get it, Minnesota
All right,
Timberwolves.
it'll be good, dude.